Welcome to The Professor is Live with Mark Salisbury, Professor of Computer Science at the University of St. Thomas. In each lively 25-minute episode, Mark and producer Rico Smart dive into topics shaping our world, featuring expert interviews and engaging live audience participation. Discover groundbreaking ideas for the future and timeless wisdom you can't afford to forget, all infused with humor and charm. Leave every episode feeling inspired, informed, and optimistic about what lies ahead. For more bragging about this show, go to The Professor is Live.
Hi, I'm Mark Salisbury, and welcome to my classroom. Today I'm joined by my producer, Rico. That's him right down there in the corner. And we're going to dive into a fascinating topic. And that's how advancements in technology are empowering individuals with significant disabilities to engage more fully with their surroundings. And these innovations were not only breaking down barriers, but they're also opening a whole new world of possibilities, one that recognizes and celebrates people's abilities rather than focusing on their disabilities. And so we're going to start off by taking a look at a short video and basically of a young man named Kevin O'Brien, and he's going to show us how he can interact with his dog with some of these new technologies that come from the area called the Internet of Things. So, and we've looked at this before, haven't we, Rico? This is an amazing little video of Kevin and working with his dog.
It really is. I don't think most of us appreciate what service dogs are doing. I know I've seen them and they are very impressive, quite skilled, and they really do help people out.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, here's Kevin with his dog, and we'll try to explain this well for the people who listen to the podcast.
Hi, I'm Kevin O'Brien, and my use of the computers and interacting with my environment are challenging because of my disability. New technology is helping. In particular, I'm using eye tracking to interact with the computer. Here is a short video of me training my dog Abby using the pet tutor dog feeder and controlling with my eye tracker. This shows how I use eye tracking to type a message. And then it speaks for me. Better than nothing. Thanks. Before Pet Tutor, as a disabled individual, rewarding the dog was impossible. Pet Tutor opened up a lot of doors for me. Now, I'll be able to advance in my education and career.
Wow, that's pretty cool, don't you think, Rico?
Absolutely. It's amazing how the interaction takes place.
Yeah, and then for people who aren't seeing the video, of course, we're doing our live show right now, and it's all about showing people how we make this podcast, right? Rico and I call it, we're showing people how we make the sausage. And so, but for the people who are going to hear this as a podcast, what we're seeing is a young man in a wheelchair, and he is actually feeding his dog by pressing on a little button, and it actually, this very smart device goes and feeds this dog a treat. And so what it is, that's all part of the training and things like that. And then the other thing he talks about is how he moves his wheelchair with his eye tracking, but he also can use it to create his text to speech, right? And so that was kind of an artificial voice that we're hearing in the background. So this is really kind of an integrated product, but that dog feeder is got a lot of intelligence in it. And so we're going to go and talk to the guy who designed the software and made that thing smart. So let's go and take a look at, and this is part, oh, you know what? Rico, you almost let me you almost had me skip over my rabbit story.
Oh, let's not leave Buck out. Buck is a
Yeah,
friend of mine.
we'll put this in, and you can cut this part out, right? Whenever we make the podcast. Okay, look at this. This new technology is based on advancements with the Internet of Things, where the next wave isn't just about smart devices, it's about making life easier. All right. And that got me thinking. And you know me, Rico, I'm always about me, right? So when my daughter left for college, she left behind her pet rabbit, Buck. Now, I love Buck, but wouldn't it be amazing if the Internet of Things could take care of the little things for me? Picture this. I'm watching the game and I simply say, let Buck out. And the system opens his door and he hops over to join me. And when it's time for him to go back into his little home, I say, help Buck get home. And a smart app lures him in with some raisins and closes the door behind him. No interruptions, no hassle, just me, Buck, and my game. Does that sound like a great future, Rico?
That's fantastic, Dreamer.
Yeah, absolutely, right? And I share with our audience that Buck is quite the Lakers fan. I've got pictures of him watching the Lakers very intensely. So, but anyway, talking about the future, speaking about it, let's hear from someone who's actually shaping it. And here's Scott Moody, Internet of Things software architect and former technical fellow for the Boeing Company. Let's see what Scott has to say. Welcome, Scott. I know you've been working on some exciting advancements in this space, such as the dog feeder that Kevin is using in the video. Can you walk us through how these enhancements actually work?
Yeah, thanks, Mark. The technology that we just saw in the video, the challenges of a person like Kevin to use this, we're been able to add technology to help them out, which is really cool. So in that video, talked about the eye tracker. That's not our technology, but the concept that thing can interface with that dog feeder. The dog feeder is it's any device, different configurations that we put on the side of his wheelchair. So that kind of environment is really challenging, and we've come up with some technologies. The next step is this whole Internet of Things devices, computing devices. We've got 3D printed parts that do all kinds of stuff, and they all network to each other. So it's really impressive what we've been able to do in 2025. But we've been doing that for ubiquitous computing, Internet of Things for 40 years, right, Mark? When we worked together at Boeing a long time ago.
That's right. Yeah. Wow. Well, how about one of the things I know you bring to the table here, and why you're excited about it, is that you have been working the computer science angle, really looking at developing computer software architectures to manage the complexity of all the communications with this. And so can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'm a real fan of, computer science, the pure computer science, being able to solve things with our technology. It's all the coding and all that kind of stuff, but computer science helps constrain it in nice ways, whatever. And being able to write all the code for networking and all that is really powerful. But architecture, really helps us bound the problem, make it feel like we can get something done. something can.
Well, and it's kind of a system, as I understand, that you can expand to bring more functionality and make these Internet of Things actually even more intelligent.
Yeah, I think so. Some of the things we've been doing by bringing back the environment, right? The environment, and then the virtual world that we have computing running in. So how to interface with all that. So it's some really cool stuff. We can talk more, later on, or you can go some of my documents and things like that. Architecture that describes the problem.
Yeah, and you have a book on this, but you also teach this, right, as well. You teach people this architecture and how to make these things smart.
Yeah, off and on. I have a course. I have a book I call the Adventures of Knowledge Shark. Maybe backwards in the picture, but it's an architecture document that tells you how to bound your problem and all of that stuff. So it's really cool. Yeah, I've been teaching it off and on. And, so there we go. We're trying to help out, Mark.
Oh, very cool, Scott. This is exciting. And I'm sure there's a lot more applications than we've just touched on today. But I could see how it could make my life more convenient, especially when it comes to taking care of our rabbit, Buck.
The rabbit. Yeah, and I told you that we have we can actually use our dog feeder device as for your rabbit as well. But again, these things, this is what the computer is running. It's so cool.
That's really neat. Wow. And our rabbit's going to be excited to know that he doesn't have to wait on me to break away from a game on TV to feed him. So this is pretty exciting at our house. So thanks a lot for being here, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Take care.
Well, Rico, that was a pretty interesting interview. Did you notice anything unusual when Scott held up his book?
I believe my dyslexia was acting up.
It was. It's because I had this thing on mirror view. If you look over my shoulder here, you'll see the clock is actually reversed. So I don't know. I like this because whenever I bring in a guest, I just squishes me up here, and it's just a little better. It seems like a better view. I don't know. So I'm going to ask our audience, should we stay with mirror view? And these are the people who are actually watching us live. And I'm putting this into chat right now. Stay with mirror view. So let us know if you're with us live, and your voice will really count. How about that? So we'll go ahead and do that one here. And it says I can't post messages to some channels. Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead here, and that was Scott Moody, and Rico, this conversation's got me thinking about the Internet of Things, how it could help me. Right, I'm just focused on Mark right now, but you know what? It really does shifts my perspective that this might be more than just convenience. So, what do you think?
I believe it is a paradigm shift, and I think this could be helpful to a lot of people. We all need help at times, some of us more than others. And if technology can help us out in this direction, all the better.
There's the wisdom. There's the wisdom of my producer, Rico, right there. And he's right, a lot of people. The World Health Organization estimates that 1.3 billion people, that's 16% of the global population, experience a significant disability. And so the WHO, which is the World Health Organization, calls these advancements assistive technologies. And their primary goal is to enhance independence and improve well-being. And so they're not just about making life easier, these assistive technologies, they're about enabling people to live full and productive lives. I'm sure glad I wrote that out ahead of time. Okay, to get a deeper understanding of how these new technologies empower people with disabilities and the professionals who work with them, I spoke with the founding board member and president of Atlas Assistant Dogs, Jennifer Kohler. And here's what Jennifer has to say to us. Welcome, Jen, to The Professor is Live. You train dogs who work with people with profound disabilities, and you have seen these new technologies in action. Have you seen a change in the abilities of the people that you work with?
Absolutely. And one thing that makes our organization unique is that we work with owner trainers to train their own dogs. And so for many people with profound disabilities or that have limited dexterity, limited mobility, having a device like one of these feeders is the difference between training their dog to support themselves and not training a dog at all. So it can be a profound difference in independence.
Okay. Kind of puts the world in their control, I would guess, to a little bit.
Right. And lets them maintain and expand even if they have a dog provided by a program that's partially or fully trained. It gives them the tools to expand and maintain that dog's training on their own.
Does this change the way that you work with the people themselves?
I would say it gives us another option of ways that we can have people, because these feeders could be on a wheelchair. They could also be mounted across the room that we could use to have the dog go to certain locations or come back. So it gives us more things we can do to help somebody be creative. It lets us sit and it makes us think differently because somebody's not treating with their hand necessarily. So it makes us be more creative, and it really helps that person have more control over how they interact with their dog.
Okay. And in our little introduction that we have to this is we have a young man who's actually using a dog feeder. And so that's part of our introduction to this. But as I understand it, this is just the tip of the iceberg for these kinds of technologies.
Absolutely. So we've discovered, partly through COVID, where a lot of things needed to be virtualized, and partly through looking at working with many people with disabilities where travel is cost prohibitive or health prohibitive, and needing to use technology as a way to interact with them or to help them interact with their dogs differently. And so there are many different things we've found, even from ways of adapting cell phones or adapting remote controls, that we can use, and definitely a lot with virtualization that we can use to help our clients and help people with disabilities have a lot more access to the world than they otherwise would.
That sounds exciting. Okay, here, now let's get to the crux of this, is how about the dogs? What do they think about this?
Well, they're thrilled, because if you're working with the dog, one of the biggest challenges is making sure you're able to give something reinforcing to that dog consistently. And so if you can't do that, it's very hard to train and support your own dog on your own. So by having a feeder like these wheelchair feeders that can be triggered through any of a number of modalities, the person's able to treat their dog. And so the dog loves the solution.
Well, that's really good to hear. And so let's go for one last question here, because this sounds like a win-win-win all the way around. Do you know anything about rabbits?
I did raise one rabbit.
Okay. Well, that makes you an expert in my book. So, all right. Well, thank you, Jen, for being on the show and explaining how this really impacts a part of our society and how we can look forward to this. So thanks again for coming on.
Yeah, happy to be here.
And there we go. And of course, I pushed the button and cut us out too early, Mark. But I do have great news for our audience. We actually have a chat message. And so it's not about the mirror view, but it is a message that says, we don't have a rabbit, just grandkids. But I got to fess up. It's actually by Sherry Salisbury, who's married to my cousin in Oregon. So a big shout out to her to give us our first official text message. Don't you think, Rico?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
And as far as the mirror image goes, if you can make time actually go backwards, you might have something.
Yeah, we would. I think we all would go for that one right there. So, well, you know what is the thing I was thinking about after this, Rico, is I wanted to explore what it takes to design and develop these assistive technologies. Because as Scott was explaining, that you really bring the intelligence of the internet, right onto these new technologies. And so they can really do amazing things. So I reached out to Wes Anderson, and he's the president of Smart Animal Training Systems, to find out what skills the next generation of designers and engineers will need. So let's see what Wes can tell us. Welcome, Wes, to The Professor is Live. Can you explain how these customized assistive technologies are designed and built?
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. Yeah, and thanks for having me on your show. We made a change a few years back to switch all of our production from injection molded plastic over to 3D printer. So we have a small 3D print farm, if you will, that we do not only prototype work, but production parts on. We've had several years of experience using 3D parts not only for prototyping, but in production, which was kind of surprising. In our application, they work pretty well. My background is engineering, and I have a small team, so we do all of our own design work internally. I am a double E, electrical engineer, and I've got people doing design, mechanical engineering work, 3D printing. So it's all pretty much design and build in-house, custom. One of my teammates is herself someone that uses our technology for assistive application, where she's training her dog. So she's now on my team and been working with us, and she works with our clients to find out what their needs are. And then we do a combination of what do we have on the shelf and what do we need to custom design for this person.
Oh, wow. So, it seems to me like you're going at this very differently than traditional manufacturing. And so I would think your team, which seems highly skilled here, basically, what are these new skills that they're using to create this really groundbreaking customized product?
Yeah, it's a collection of things. So we do the programming. We do all of the programming. I've done some of the programming in the past. We have others on the team that write code. And then, in terms of mechanical design, we have people that my nephew is on my team, and he teaches a technology class at a high school, and his specialty is 3D printing. So he does a lot of the design work. He does on devices like AutoCAD and others. He does some of the design work himself. I do some of the design work for custom mechanical devices that we're going to print on the printer. And then we have another team member that is very skilled at hands-on soldering. So putting things together and soldering and building. We're like a low to medium production shop.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that strikes me when I look at this is you're opening, we kind of focused on the assistive technologies, but it seems like it's just opening up a whole new world for this population. I don't know if there's any really ceiling on this.
Well, I don't think so. We started with our original focus. We began production in 2013, and primarily for professional dog trainers. So that's really what we've been doing over the years. But myself and my co-founder, we both have worked. In fact, we got to know each other through a service dog training program. And so my heart is in that community. I've been doing it for 20 years now. I help train service dogs for those that need those dogs. But the thing that I saw that was missing, and to my knowledge today, there isn't another device that really fits on a wheelchair and allows someone up to and including a severe disability to treat their dog. So if they have a service dog or a pet dog, it can be very difficult, if not impossible, for some people to actually give a treat, which is important for service dog ongoing work, but also for pet dogs, just to interact and have that bond. So I really wanted to break down that barrier. It was something I'm passionate about, helping people that do have disabilities, and I didn't see a technology to help them.
Wow, that's amazing. So, well, let's switch to a different kind of animal. I know you've worked with dogs, but one more thing, Wes. Think you could build an intelligent feeder for our rabbit?
Oh, you gave me a curveball there. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not much of a rabbit person.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Well, I think we can maybe follow up on this online. I think our rabbit thinks he needs one. So
yeah, okay.
Incredible work you're doing, and thanks so much for being with us today.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure.
And there you have it, Rico. You've met our pet rabbit, Buck, right?
I've met Buck. He's no dumb bunny. I think he would hack the system.
I think so. All right. And with that, we wrap up another episode of The Professor is Live. And Rico, aside from my personal rabbit aspirations, I think it's clear that the latest developments in the Internet of Things isn't just about convenience, it's about inclusion. And these innovations will make life easier for many of us, but more importantly, they'll open up new opportunities for people with disabilities, giving them greater independence and control of their lives. Before we go, don't forget to visit theprofessorislive.com for links to past episodes on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And so we want to say thanks for joining us today, those people listening by podcast. And also we want to thank those people who've tuned in to our LinkedIn Live, and actually it's YouTube Live and Facebook Live broadcast showing how we make the sausage for this. Isn't that right, Rico?
Absolutely. I want to thank all our friends for joining us.
Yes, very good. So we'll see you next time on The Professor is Live.
Watch past episodes of The Professor is Live on www.theprofessorislive.com. Videos are on YouTube's The Professor is Live channel, and podcasts are available on Apple, Spotify, and Google. Hosted by Mark Salisbury. Produced by Rico Smart. Special thanks to Kevin O'Brien for sharing his world with us. Thanks to Scott Moody, Internet of Things software architect and former technical fellow for the Boeing Company. Thank you to Jennifer Kohler, founding board member and president of Atlas Assistance Dogs. And thanks to Wes Anderson, the president of Smart Animal Training Systems. The Professor is Live with Mark Salisbury. Copyright 2025.